Hi guys, how are you? My name is Kelley and I'm here at the Taunton Senior Center to show you some of the things that we can do in a Drums Alive class when we are seated and we have 3 drums. You might not be able to see this drum to my left. See, it's a black drum. You might not be able to see that, but this was the best position that I felt I could get in and still be able to show you what I can do with my feet and my body and my drums, even if I'm seated. So these are going to be helpful videos for anybody that is thinking about maybe joining a class, but they're not part of a session yet. You might want to do a pop-in with us, which would be wonderful. Just call the Senior Center first and make sure that there's an opening. There usually is. If somebody cancels, even if it looks like it's a full roster, I still highly recommend that you call because everybody's got busy schedules. And there's oftentimes going to be days that people are not able to make it. So we often have a couple of open seats. So please don't hesitate to call. Even if you are a seated client, which is absolutely fine, we still want you to come and try this because you don't have to get up. You can stay seated if you have pain when you're standing or balance issues or anything that you're not comfortable with standing up and exercising. You can come into our Drums Alive class and know that you will not be the only one for certain that has decided to be seated or just wants to be seated for that time. So I have myself arranged kind of oddly where you can see at least 2 of the balls and then a little bit of the 3rd ball, and mainly so that I can show you what you can get done with your body when you are seated. I mean, we get such a workout, and if somebody that is typically a standing client tries to sit and take the whole class seated and use their body that way, they get an amazing workout because they're not used to using those same muscles that a seated client would need to use. So it really is an amazing workout, seated or not seated. So I get a little bit close with my own ball, my center ball. So this is technically called your own ball, and then these are your neighbor balls, the ones to the left and right. Sometimes you'll have a neighbor sitting there and sometimes you won't. If you have a neighbor sitting there, please remember that you can only strike their side ball. Do not strike their top ball because then we just have too many of these drumsticks heading towards each other. So we will only be striking the side ball. But let's say, for example, that we're going to be doing a song and our drum beat is, we're using single beats, so we're going to be using 1 at a time. We can march with that, so my feet are rising. And this is a workout. I'm engaging my core, I'm working my quads, I'm really using my body, I'm using my glutes. Great. And then if we were to do a V-step, which we talked about in my last video, that this is wonderful too for V-stepping because we can do a V to the right and then to the left and then return our feet, right? So we can go V-step, 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 great. And excellent routine for that. You're lifting your leg up a little bit more, so you're using more of your leg muscles and your abdominal muscles to reach that goal. And now let's change direction because everything we do, we should do to one side, we really do need to do to the other side. Very good. Perfect. And another thing that we can do when we are seated is, and I would highly recommend that we sit up nice and tall for this and engage our core, and we're going to be very conscious of keeping both of our sits bones on the chair when we do the next move I'm going to show you. But let's say that we are going to be going from one neighbor drum to another. That is an amazing twist to the body. I'm going to actually add in a middle strike as well so that we have a little bit of pause there. But you can feel all the way around that we can get a workout. And when the music is going and we start getting into patterns, it is so much fun. I'll also show you from here different places on the drum that we are able to use as part of our routine. So one is the bass. Of course, this is the loudest and the one we all love the most. So we can use that. We can do singles or doubles. doubles, which is when we use both of our drumsticks at the same time. And then we have our side beat here. We also have our top of the ball, and we also have our overhead clicks, which the clicks have to come all the way away from your eyes and away from your neighbor's eyes, all the way up and click. When you click, if you're clicking with your right stick hitting your left stick, that's okay. But please remember that we do need to change it and have the left stick hit the right stick as well. So we don't want to do it all on one side over and over. We want to switch that up. You can also hold it almost like a cross and do it that way, just as a little bit of a different method of doing it. The most important thing is that these sticks are away from your face and that they are away from your eyes, most importantly, so that we don't accidentally get a chip off of these that could end up on us. So we want to be very careful of that. So seated people, please come, do not be shy. And also for everybody, bring a water, and a water with a top on it. There are bubblers everywhere, and there's water supplies everywhere that you could use a cup with, but that is not going to work for this class because we get up and move around our ball too, which is going to be another video. And so many times those drinks have gotten knocked over, and that pretty much ends the class around that water, because once the floor is wet, it's not good. We really can't use it. So your waters of your drink should have lids on them that can screw on, and then when the screw's on and tight, you can just drop your water right in there and it's nowhere near you. I recommend that everything you have that you come to class with, that you keep with you, goes right inside your bucket, whether it be your pocketbook, your water, your cell phone, everything should go right in there. I also bring tamarines, so if you're using a tamarine and going back and forth between tamarines and your drumsticks, whatever you're not using can also very easily go inside your little your base. So it's great for that. That keeps things away from your feet when we are up and moving. It's very important that we have a clear floor because everybody moves around the room. So even if you're not going to get up, then your neighbors most likely are going to get up, and we're going to be moving around the room in one way or another. So I'm thrilled to be here with you guys doing Drums Alive, and I cannot wait to see you at a class. So come on down, give the Senior Center a call, and let's get going. Let's see your beautiful face in class, and I'll see you next time. Thank you guys so much. Hi everybody, how are you? My name is Kelley Brophy, and today I'm going to connect this class with my last class that we started for Drums Alive, and we are going to continue with a standing routine as opposed to last week's, which was seated. And in this standing routine, I'm just going to show you a couple of different things that we will be able to do if you came into a class that wasn't right at the beginning of a session. In other words, if you showed up on week 4, if we had an opening and you wanted to pop in and just see if you liked it, we don't want people to come into a class that's already going and kind of feel like they are out of place. We never want you to feel that way. So there's 2 videos being done. This is the second of the 2, and this one would be for when we are standing up, different things that we can do with our bodies while we are enjoying our Drums Alive. Please too remember that you never have to stand up in a Drums Alive class. Every single class will have chairs available to you, and you're able to stay seated the entire time. Our wildest members are our seated ones, and they're having so much fun, and they are getting such a great workout, and they add so much to the class with their spirit. So they elevate everybody else in the class. We just have a great time. So please, if you are a seated client, please do not let that be the reason that you feel like you can't come and enjoy Drums Alive. So on that note, I'm going to move the balls around a little bit so you can see my feet a little bit more. I might even go at an angle. So make sure that one's down on the floor. I'll go at an angle for a little while, with the camera so that you can see exactly what my feet are doing. So in a class, we will always do a warm-up. And whether you're seated or standing, that warm-up is going to include us using our joints, moving our joints and our muscle groups, especially our major muscle groups, so that the muscles get fired and the joints get lubricated before we start. So we may start with some step tap and swaying our arms, which as you can see is working our hips and our shoulders as we're bringing these arms. It's also going to bring up our heart rate, which we definitely want to before we really get into our workout. So we may do that. We may also reach forward and then step back and reach forward and step back on both sides. So I'm going to switch sides so that you can see it on the other side as well. Reach up and step back. We're strengthening one leg that we're stepping back onto, and we are swinging our arms, which is also engaging our shoulder. So that's wonderful. When we are actually in the class and practicing our drumming, we are able to add these movements in while we're doing our actual drumming. So if we were to do our step tap, so I showed you that without the drum being in the way, we can do this also while we are drumming. So this is great, and it's easy, and it adds our not only hand to eye coordination, but also our legs and our arms are doing something different as well, which is great for the brain. So that's one of the moves, is a step tap. Very nice. Now I'm doing step tap singles, right? Because we learned last week that the singles are when I'm hitting the drum with one stick at a time. So if I wanted to do step tap with my doubles, I could do this. Step tap double. Great. And this is on the top ball. All right, so let's bring that down. Another wonderful move that we can easily do while we are that we're engaging our lower body as well is we can do a V step, which is opening up one leg and then the other. I'm going to move my drum over again so that you can see me at an angle, and I'm going to bring one foot forward, the other foot forward, the first foot back, and the second foot back. Forward, forward, back, and back. Forward, forward, back, and back. Forward, forward, back, and back. We also we can and should do it in the other direction. Forward, forward, back, and back. And obviously it's called a V step because I'm stepping in a V. Great. And back, and back. So I'll bring the ball back to me. So I'm facing you nice and straight. Great. And I'm going to add in just some simple drum beats while we're doing that. So we could do forward, tap, back, tap, forward, forward, back, back. That's always fun. Forward, forward, back, back. V step, back, back. V step, back, back. And again, I'm working on the top of the ball, and I'm currently doing singles. Let's say I wanted to switch to doubles. Doubles is when we are striking the drum with both sticks at the same time. So let's do doubles. So much fun. And again, we are working our eyes, our hands, and our feet. And we should also do this in the opposite direction. Same as we did before. What we do onto one side, we really want to do onto the other side. Very good. All right. And you can see that I have 3 balls here. We set up some of our classes where each person has their own ball. They have their own ball, but then sometimes our class will be set up that you can either reach your neighbor's ball, or you have a neighbor ball that there's nobody there. So that would be, an empty neighbor ball. It doesn't really matter if there's somebody there or not, as long as we have proper social distancing, which we do in our class. And when we're this close, we may be masked. But if there is a person at the ball next to you, at your neighbor ball, We never want to strike the top of their drum. We're going to try to hit the side of their drum. So never the top, but always the side. When we add the extra balls in on the side, we get a whole plethora of new things that we can do with our drumsticks and with our body. So one of the things that we can do with our body is we can step over to a drum completely and use that drum and step here, and use that drum and step here, and use that drum. So that's really fun if there's a whole line of people and we're all in sync and we're able to actually move around a class with these steps. So much fun. Another way that we can use these balls that are to the left and right of us is to do a slight lunge towards the ball that we want to use. So you'll see that I'm leaning slightly forward. I'm going to move this ball a little bit so you can see that my front leg is bent, but my knee has not exceeded my toe. That's very important so that we're not stressing our knees. And I feel very solid. Most of my weight is centered around my hips. I am not leaning into this. That could really put us into a state of disbalance. So we can step into this mild lunge and strike our drum here. However, that particular song is requiring. And then we can come back to the center and use our drum here for the music. And then we can go ahead and switch to the other drum and do a slight lunge with the other leg. Remember, when we're doing our lunge, we don't lean forward. We're actually going to stay nice and upright and use our drum here. And I'm going to move my ball one more time so you can see where that back leg is. So I'm doing a slight lunge. I'm not leaning forward. I'm not off balance. My feet are far apart. So I have a nice solid foundation underneath me. So it's really a ton of fun when we add these balls in for a couple of reasons. One is that, like I just showed you, we get to move around more. So today we talked about doing the step tap and also doing the V-step. Those are two of several that we can do. We also took a step from one drum to the next, which is very exciting when we're working in a bigger group and everybody is in time with their drumming and stepping. It's really a lot of fun. But we can also do what is called a split drum. So I'm going to come and work between two drums, and if I'm going to just keep it simple right now and do singles, we can do singles, or we can work side to side, and this is on a split drum. And we just have to kind of remember which one is the drum that we're using for singles. So in this case, it would be my red ball. And we can also do split drum to the other side. Great. Using it that way. And we can also stay here and reach out and I'm going to pretend that I have a neighbor at these balls, because oftentimes we do. So I'm just going to strike the side of their ball, and we can use our drums here, or if we want to go in and out, whatever it is that our pattern for that particular song entails. So I hope that this little video has helped you feel more comfortable coming to a class, even if you are not involved in a session. If this is your very first class, these two videos should just help you come in and have an idea about what a class is like. We are extremely cautious about our bodies. I want to make sure that everybody is working within their comfortable range of motion, but to the best of their ability too. So we definitely can pick up our heart rate. We definitely move in the class as much as each individual feels comfortable doing. And we always have a great time, and everybody's very welcoming. So please don't hesitate to come to a class and try it. And I hope that you come and that you have a great time, knowing that we warm you up. Everybody gets introduced. We bring our heart rate up and down several times so that we're not overstressing anybody. We might come up and then bring it down. So almost like a high intensity interval training, but within appropriate heights. And then we always do a break, and we also have a cool down at the end to bring our body back to a normal state, to bring our heart rate back down. And in between there, we have a ton of fun and we listen to great music. So I'm so happy to be doing this class with the Taunton Senior Center. They're so open about this class. They really are loving it. And we hope that you try a class very soon. And until then, I'll see you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.